Attention all Kafka wanters. I have the character for you. You guys are eventually going to pull him, whether he's featured on Kafka's banner. I'm 90% sure he's going to be featured on Kafka's banner. But Sempokoski, you guys all know him as the silly, annoying guy that's also pretty mysterious from the story mode. He's got some stuff going on, and I want to go over his kit today, what I think is one of the best light cones for him, what I think the best relics are going to be. I'm going to tell you guys how to build him, simply because I'm really excited for Kafka. Kafka comes out, who knows when, but we know she's going to be coming eventually, and he is going to be core on her team, simply because the way we know her kit works currently, and from tutorial, and the fact that we know she DOT pops unless she gets changed by the time she releases. So I want to go over his kit because he is the absolute best DOT applicator in the game, and he's really, really good at increasing DOT. So he's going to be an absolute must to run with Kafka. You absolutely are going to have to run him with Kafka. Let's get into why. So first things first is let me showcase I'm going to talk over him, explain what I think one of his best light cones are, explain what I think his best relics are, etc., and what I plan, well, not really best, but what I plan to use with him, basically. And I'm going to show you guys how I plan on building him, but keep in mind he's not built at all right now. He has my little floater set that I have halfway built because I just keep throwing it on characters. That way I can showcase these characters to you guys, or use them in Hall of Memories. I've thrown this on Dan to use them in Hall of Memories. I throw it on Yingqing. I throw it on everybody to throw in Hall of Memories whenever I need weakness or whenever I need toughness to shred down toughness. This is the set I use. So he's on my floater set, so it's not very good. And he has a level 1 light cone. So once again, not very good. Not very invested in, and you can see he's on level 1 traces. I plan to get this all up before Kafka comes out. But for now, he's taking a back burner to my main team. My main team's where all my investment's going. But he's so good, I want to talk about him. So let's go ahead, let's talk about Sampo. And I want to talk about how his kit works, and you'll understand why everything works really, really well. And let's go ahead, let's get into it. So probably the first thing to talk about, because the rest of his kit kind of works in tandem, so I want to go in order. I want to make sure I go in a very specific order so you guys can understand how his kit works in tandem, is the one thing that functions uniquely to itself. The rest of his kit doesn't really affect this, but this technique is really, really good for him. So after Sampo uses his technique, enemies in this area are blinded. If they're blinded, they cannot detect your team. When initiating combat against a blinded enemy, there's a 100% fixed chance to delay all enemies' actions by 25%. Really, really good. Next, we go into his talent. His talent is the start. His talent is the core of his kit. Everything functions around this talent. So Sampo's attacks have a 65% base chance to inflict wind shear for 3 turns. Enemies inflicted with wind shear will take wind DOT equal to 20% of Sampo's attack at the beginning of each turn. Wind shear can stack up to 5 times. So this is the core of his kit, is this talent right here, because once you read his skill, you'll get why. Deals wind damage equal to 20% of Sampo's attack to a single enemy, and further deals damage for 4 extra times. With E1, because I have E1 Sampo, it's going to go to 5 extra times, meaning 6 attacks in total. Each attack can proc the talent. Each attack can deal wind shear DOT, which is really good. Then you go into his ultimate. Deals wind damage equal to 96% of Sampo's attack to all enemies with a 100% base chance to increase the target's DOT taken by 20% for 2 turns. So it debuffs and increases their DOT damage taken, which will also increase the amount of damage Kafka can do whenever she uses her skill to pop the DOTs. Very, very important. Now, due to the way his talent works, if you need him for skill point economy, he's going to be really good because his normal attack can also proc his talent, which is really, really good. So next up is the light cone I plan on using for him. The light cone I plan on using for Kafka as of right now is Fermata. This one's going to be really good and increases damage to enemies inflicted with shock or wind shear by 16%. Really, really good. So we're going to go ahead and use this for him though, because I think this will be really, really good for him specifically. So when the wearer hits an enemy, and if the hit enemy is not already ensnared, then there is a 70% base chance to ensnare the hit enemy. Ensnared enemy's defense decreases by 13% for 1 turn. Now keep in mind when it says when the wearer hits an enemy, he hits an enemy 6 times in a single attack. So this has a pretty high chance of proccing, which is really good. So next we go into his traces. His traces are actually really good as well. Extends duration of wind shear caused by talents by 1 turn. Really, really cracked. This means more damage for Kafka's DOT pop. Using ultimate additionally regenerates 10 energy. And then enemies with wind shear effect deal 15% less damage to Sempo. So it gives Sempo a little bit of survivability. And then this one's very important because regenerating energy is something you're going to see as a theme whenever I talk about his relics and plant art set before I showcase him. So now, because I don't have this set farmed, I'm just going to tell you what my planned set is. I'm going to have a main focus of speed first and then attack stacking. Not really crit rate, crit damage as you might think, because I'm not expecting him to be a DPS. I just want him to stack really high damage DOTs. I just want him to stack high damage DOTs, and we're going to go from there with that. So, increases wind damage by 10%. After wearer uses their ultimate, their action is advanced forward by 25%. So this is just to give him more actions within a turn, which is something that's even reflected in the plan art set. I plan on farming for him as well. Plan R. Anyways, terrible puns aside, sprightly, whatever the hell this word is, not even going to try to pronounce it. The 2-piece set for it increases the wearer's energy regeneration rate by 5%. Once again, really good because his ultimate's very, very good for buffing up Kafka's damage. When the wearer's speed reaches 120 or higher, like I said, we want to build him a speed build, so this should be permanent. The wearer's action is advanced forward by 40% immediately upon entering battle. Meaning he's probably going to go first, and he's going to get to apply his weakness break and DOT first before anything else happens, or his toughness shred, whatever you want to call it. We're going to be able to do that with him, and we're going to be able to make sure he pretty much goes first with this. Now, to showcase him, I have a little floor already planned, because I was scouting out the floors, and I was like, I wonder where I can showcase his toughness break, even with the terrible build I have on him. So, we're going to go ahead and run him in floor 10. I know floor 10 is a little bit underleveled for my account, but we're just trying to showcase his toughness shred, because he's not really going to be the reason you do a lot of damage. Now, can he do damage? Abso-freaking-lutely he can do damage. Those DOT stacks, they add up, and they add up for quite a bit. So we're going to go ahead and put Sempo on the team. We're going to go ahead and put Sela next to him, Natasha, and March. Because we want Sela to go ahead and clear around the ads, clear away the ads to the left and right of this lady. And we're going to use Sempo solely, just to target her and show the toughness shred. Because boy, does Sempo do toughness shred very, very well. So we're going to go ahead and use the blind, so we make sure we go first. We're going to use Sela buff, and we're going to attack. And now, through Sela buff and through blind, we should be good to go. We should be good to go ahead and start blasting. So we're going to do this. We're going to hit you very hard. And then we're going to come here, and we're going to hit you. And then we're going to come here. We're going to ult you to clear around all the ads. And now we're just going to do a little bitty boop to her so we can see where the toughness bar is at. So now we're just going to do this once. We're going to see everything that gets applied just by hitting E and doing it a single time and seeing how much the skill does to the toughness bar. So let's go ahead and take a look. You can see it got her to about half. And if we look, it also ensnared her for defense minus 13% for a single turn. So for the rest of the turn, because once again we want Sempo to have a lot of speed, so for the rest of the turn, because Sempo got first, they just take 13% more damage simply because we reduced our defense by 13%, which I think is really, really good. So now we're just going to do this to make sure she doesn't one-tap our underbuilt Sempo, and she's doing it anyways because she just doesn't like him. Understandable, I get it. Sempo's a very intimidating guy. So we don't want to break you with you. We want to break you with Sempo, the show. So Sempo's absolutely going to break her here. We're going to go ahead and do the break with Sempo. And we're also going to be able to get our ultimate. So now we can use our ultimate. We can see exactly how much all of this increases everything. So here you can see exactly how much Sempo has done. Nobody else has debuffed this enemy. Only Sempo has done this. This is all Sempo. So here, DOT vulnerability plus 20%. 5 stacks of wind shear here, 3 stacks of wind shear here, and ensnarement again for another turn because, like I said, the odds of him applying ensnarement are very, very high. So we're going to once again sit here, and we're going to draw aggro to March, and you can see 4736 damage with a level 1 light relic. 4.7k damage with a level 1 light relic. If that's not strong, I don't know what is. Because like I said, his light relic is level 1. I don't know if I get the point across yet. But to me, that's just incredible. Because it's doing more damage than he's actually doing. So we're just going to go ahead. I think we just nuke her and finish it off. And hopefully this convinced some of you guys to go ahead. If you get Sempo, take a look at Sempo for basically Kafka. which is why I think you should run Sempo if you ever decide to do it. Sempo for Kafka is really, really good. It's going to be super cracked. He's absolutely core with Kafka. So if you're wanting Kafka, I highly recommend getting Sempo. If you don't have Sempo yet, then I'm 99% sure, because of how core he is with Kafka, he's going to be on Kafka's banner. Sempo is absolutely one of the best 4-stars in the game, in my opinion, especially with how much stuff is actually weak to wind. You would be surprised how much like in-game stuff is actually very weak to wind, to the point where wind is pretty damn good, and characters that can toughness break with wind are actually really strong. But hopefully this convinces you guys to give this goofy guy a try, and he, in my opinion, is really, really good. Anyways, let me know what you guys think about Sempo. Let me know if you guys are planning on getting Kafka. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.